When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this content, smash the like button and subscribe for updates on my community tab. Now, let's continue where we last left off in our story. Izuku got into a fighting stance, waiting for the three incoming Nomus to get in his strike range. As he closed his eyes and started breathing in and out slowly, in a somewhat trance state, when Izuku opened his eyes, revealing bright glowing green eyes, Izuku supercharged his speed and strength by using his psychic energy. He didn't want to use this, but he had no choice. You forced my hand, League of Villains. If you picked anyone else to set your trap on, this probably would have worked. But unfortunately for you, you picked the wrong UA student. But then these things are not technically human, so that means I don't have to hold back. Izuku only has 30 minutes in this state while using this technique. If it passed the 30-minute grace period, it will start to damage his modified body. Izuku only uses this technique or power using his telekinesis on himself to increase his super strength type of opponents to either equal their physical strength or to surpass it. It depends on who he's fighting. Normally, he wouldn't have to use such a technique or ability against a Nomu, but there's currently 3 of them. They're at the same amount of power, physical power, as the first Momu Izuku ever fought at the USJ attack. He hasn't seen what type of abilities they hold. He suspects these Nomu most likely have some form of shock resorption and fire resistance. He's clearly seen the fire resistance, so he figures they also have similar quirks to the one he fought the first Nomu he fought. These 3 Nomus are exact copy of that one. The shock absorption ability will be a problem for Izuku. Izuku is unsure if these things have super regeneration, like the last one he fought. He's just assuming they have that ability as well, just to be on the safe side. Izuku is indeed right. They do have a lesser version of super regeneration than the one Nomu that attacked the USJ. Once Izuku's opponents got into striking range, he immediately unleashed his psychic physical attacks onto the Nomus. As you can see imprints of fists all across their body, as all 3 Nomus get launched backwards as they roll ragdoll across the ground, ripping through the trees like they were mere twigs. Izuku plucked one of the Nomus and yanked him towards him. Izuku, when the Nomu got into his range, Izuku grabbed it by the skull and began to manipulate the creature's bioelectricity that the creature produces. It has a limited amount of intelligence. So Izuku is very confident that this creature does produce bioelectricity. The Nomu scream out in pain as the brain exploded after a few seconds of Izuku shocking it to death as he dropped the body to the ground. He allowed the body drop to the ground as there is a loud thump noise when the body finally hit the dirt. 1 down, 2 more to go. That was actually quite satisfying. Sadly, I won't be able to use that move again on the other 2. They would never allow me to do that. It takes too much time to discharge and manipulate the bioelectricity. They would clearly not allow me to do that. These ones are different compared to the first one I fought at the USJ. Oh, great. They're catching up. Izuku sighed as Izuku watched the running Nomu running on all fours, like some sort of animal. Maybe I judged the boy too quickly. That was quite impressive strategy, to blast the 3 Nomus and grab one of them, then finish one of them off before the other two could try to stop him. Of course he did. Like I said, he's an Esper. It's still quite odd seeing my own ability being used. What do you mean, your own ability? Don't mind me. I'm just thinking out loud. Now I wonder how he's going to take care of the last 2. He won't be able to use to manipulate the bioelectricity through the brain this time around. He's going to have to figure out another way to kill his opponents. By now, the other 2 Nomus has already thought up a plan to fall prey to that again. Because of their increased intelligence, they might not be able to talk, but they're deadly coming up with battle strategies in the midst of battle. Once they see a ability, they form a solid strategy pretty fast. And them having a psychic link to all 3 of them, dealing with them all at once, to be quite a tasking ordeal. Now that they're able to fight with each other to gang up on an opponent without getting in each other's way. A most fascinating weapon. Smart enough to be quite useful in battle, but not intelligent enough to rebel against their master. The perfect mixture. I gotta give it to the crazy doc. He knows what he's doing. Izuku dodged around the charging Nomu and slammed his fist into the creature's skull, making it hit the ground hard, making a small crater. Izuku spun around and kicked the other incoming Nomu in the jaw as it goes skidding across the ground hard. Izuku dodged a incoming uppercut from the Nomu that he knocked to the ground right in front of him, as the Esper slid across the ground from jumping backwards in a somersault. From the incoming uppercut, Izuku unleashed a big wall of fire all around them, so there's no running into the forest, so their fighting doesn't further damage the nature around them. Izuku used the fire from the humongous wall that's trapping himself and the Nomus inside the ring of fire as fireballs, fire shoots out as condensed green fireballs shoot out of the firewall rapidly at the Nomus. When the smoke cleared from the fireballs, Izuku watched the Nomus regenerate the holes in their body as the holes are being healed in rapid succession. As the Nomus finally get up and rush at him at the same time, the creatures begin to zigzag past each other while running in attempts to confuse Izuku of their movements. Izuku slapped the first fist that came his way. He was too slow to stop the second one as Izuku got shot up in the air by a fist landing into his stomach. The Nomu that attacked that got blocked jumped in the middle of the air and landed a Hail Mary, using both of his hands to slam into Izuku's back, forcing him to shoot downwards to the ground hard, making an even larger crater from the one he created earlier with one of the Nomus. Izuku was pulled up by the hair and rapidly slammed back into the ground by one of the Nomus. When it tried to put him into a bear hug, Izuku flared his bioelectricity throughout his entire body, shocking the Nomu. Izuku spinned around in midair when the Nomu let him go and slammed his fist into the Nomu's face, knocking the creature away by knocking it far enough, but not knocking it outside of the firewall. I don't fucking think so. That's not going to happen on my watch. Izuku noticed it's only been 20 minutes so far. He's near his limit. He has about 10 minutes worth of using this ability. He has not once deactivated. He's had it on the entire time. Izuku took the opportunity to finish off one of the Nomus that's temporarily paralyzed state from his bioelectricity and grabbed it by the head. Grabbed the creature by the face with both of his hands and let out green fire. You might have a resistance to fire with a quirk most likely, but there's always a limit when it comes to quirk. I just need to kick up the heat a little bit. Shall we find out your limit, monster? Izuku kicked up the heat. As he finally got past his fire resistance, now he's working a way to bypass its super regeneration. It might be a weaker regeneration from the original, but it's still impressive nevertheless. Izuku was taking too long to get past the fire resistance. Super regeneration. The other Nomu was rushing towards him from behind. It got nice and close. It opened its jaw and chomped down onto his shoulder as its teeth is trying to puncture the skin of Izuku's modified skin. Izuku felt the pinch over his shoulder and sees the Nomu trying to bite down onto his shoulder. The creature is clearly trying to clamp down to puncture his skin by biting down. Well, that can't be good. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop. As he felt the teeth finally puncture his skin, Izuku pushed past the pain and increased his rate of fire he's releasing from his hands from his cryokinesis. As the entire body of the Nomu caught fire, as it tried to regenerate, but it was damaged too much. As the Nomu turned to ash, he used bioelectricity to get the other Nomu off of him. The Nomu releases grip from his jaw and jump backwards to get some distance. Do apologize for that. Notification showed up. I was trying to X out of it, but wouldn't allow me. Anyways, let's continue. Where I left off, where the Nomu released its jaw from Izuku's shoulder and jumped backwards. Now, there's only one. Izuku had to deactivate his ability with his telekinesis. He's already approaching the 30-minute mark. As his glowing green eyes die down to a normal shade of jade color. Green, if you... Pretty much green color jade. Anyway, so let's continue forward. Esper and Nomu rush towards each other, exchanging blows on each other's body. When the Nomu tried to grab onto Izuku's right arm to break it, Izuku yanked his right arm backwards, then threw out a kick across the Nomu's face, making it step backwards from the force of Izuku's kick. Izuku witnessed one of the arms of the creature form into a humongous blade as it rushed forward towards its prey, swinging its blade arm around, trying to cut down Izuku, leaving our green hair Esper to dodge around the humongous blade. Izuku wasn't fast enough to completely dodge one of the wild swings of the blade as it managed to cut him on the side of, on the waist, basically. He was quite surprised to see the blade cut through his skin. Now he's extremely more wary of the blade appendage. The blade arm. Izuku's fully aware normal blades, like swords and other knives, can't cut through his skin. His skin is modified to withstand such things as bladed weapons and even guns. But somehow the blade arm cut through his skin, so he suspects it has to do with the quirk that is wielding. Before he could act, the Nomu and Izuku had to jump backwards as something burst out of the ground. As Izuku, continues to jump backwards to get out of the way because the thing's pretty big. Looks like some sort of humongous flower that hasn't bloomed yet, with vines with thorns on it decorated all around the flower. We cut to a flashback about 10 minutes after the events of the mall. Slowly but surely, people started to wake up after 10 minutes. Everyone regained consciousness and found out it was some sort of villain attack. Mina made sure everyone was alright. Mina and Jiro said at the same time, "Where's Izuku?" "I'll go check. He has to be here somewhere." Everyone split up and find Izuku. He couldn't have gone far. As they all go in their different directions to search for Izuku, it only took them a few minutes to scan the entire mall. Izuku's nowhere to be seen. Mina immediately called Shoto to update him on the current situation they found themselves in before they could talk to the authorities that are heading toward their direction. As Mina sees a group of police officers heading down their way toward their direction with a few heroes to get their statement on what exactly happened here. The authorities know that it was some sort of villain attack, but that's as far as they know what's going on. Shoto was training with his fire in his family training area until he got a phone call. As he took it out of his pocket and looked at the caller ID, and seeing who it is, he immediately answered it. "What do you need, Mina? I'm kind of in the middle of training." "Did you hear the mall was attacked?" Heard the old man talk about it in his office. "I take it you're all unscathed, considering you had Midoriya with you." "That's the thing, Shoto. Get to the point, Mina." We kind of can't find him. When we woke up, he was already gone, and no one's answering his house phone." "What do you mean he's gone?" "Never mind, Mina. I'm on my way." Shoto immediately bursts out of his house and heading towards the mall. When Shoto arrives at the mall, he sees his classmates, and he wasn't surprised to see his sensei there as well. "I'm not surprised to see you here, Shoto. You and Izuku are thick as thieves nowadays. I know you're curious about what's going on. I saw the footage from the surveillance cameras, the security feed at the mall. Izuku's indeed not in the mall. He was teleported away by a black portal that you should be familiar with. The League of Villains." "Correct. All the evidence are pointing to their group. We have no concrete evidence outside of the portals, but I'm very confident that the League had a hand in this. Don't worry, we'll find your classmate once I inform Ivy of the situation. She's going to be hell-bent in finding Izuku. In the meantime, we'll send out heroes out in the city to see if we can find him. Now, you might excuse me. I have a very soon-to-be angry redhead to talk to." About 20 to 30 minutes later, Black Canary is knocking on a door of a house that belongs to Izuku and Harley and Ivy. As the door opened up to reveal Ivy in a cooking apron, she was in the middle of cooking dinner. "Canary, I'm surprised to see you. As much as I wish this is a social call, I'm on an official business. May I come in?" "Sure thing, Canary. We can talk in the living room. What exactly is going on?" It's easier if I show you." As she loaded up the clip of the footage at the mall through her phone on the television, after she connected the right wires to do so, in the living room. When Ivy saw the footage, she was dead quiet for a couple minutes and clenching her fist. "Who is responsible for this? What villain has a death wish?" "That's the thing, it's not just one villain. There's several involved. I believe this is the actions of the League of Villains. I believe I remember my Izuku mentioning them before. I just wanted to get you informed of the situation and try to prevent from you doing anything crazy. You have nothing to worry about that. It is true, I am extremely pissed off, and I would love to go on a rampage through Japan to find the one who abducted Izuku. But that doesn't mean I'm restraining myself. The reason why I haven't gone on a rampage in the city is because I don't want to cause trouble for Izuku. that doesn't mean I'm just going to simply stand by and do nothing. I'm going to find my boyfriend, and if I find anyone that is responsible for his abduction, I'm going to kill them. It's going to take some time for me to find him, though, through the green. So I suggest your little Justice League members find him before I do. Because when I do find them, heads are going to roll. As soon as Black Canary had left the house, Poison Ivy went to the backyard and placed her hand onto the grass, focusing her connection to the green to see if she could find Izuku. If he's in the wilderness, if he's near any plants, she'll be able to find him through the green. After several hours, she finally found him. She could tell he's in some sort of dome that has a vast man-made forest inside it. It's still nature, so she could clearly tell what the structure is through her senses. Using the green. It's not the same as seeing it. It's how she sees things through the green. I'm not going to go into details on the whole thing, but anyways, let's continue forward. Harley came home to see where Ivy went. She saw her in the backyard. What's going on, Red? As a humongous flower burst out of the ground, as Ivy stepped in the middle of it. Izuku was abducted by the League of Villains. I'm on my way to pick him up. Do you need me to come? It would be best if you stay here, just in case someone shows up. This shouldn't take me long. As the flower closed up and sank into the ground, as we end the flashback, the humongous flower is standing between Izuku and Nomu as the flower finally bloomed to reveal a very angry redhead inside the flower. As one of the flower puddles lowered down to the ground to allow Ivy to step on it to get to the ground, to get to the solid ground, like stairs. One look at Izuku, she could tell he's extremely tired and injured, as she sees blood coming from his side. As she frowns at that, she extended her hand outwards as a humongous vine comes bursting out of the ground and wrapping around the Nomu for hurting my Izuku. Your punishment is death. As thorns appeared on the humongous vines as it construct the Nomu, crushing it to death. As a humongous fly trap appeared underneath the vines, as the vines released what's left of the Nomu into his mouth, as the Venus flytrap begins to devour the nice, tasty snack. The brain was crushed prior, between the vines crushing it, so it was already dead before the Venus flytrap appeared. Izuku's adrenaline finally begins to fade from his body, as his injuries he's received throughout this whole fight finally caught up to him as he kneeled down to one knee. Ivy caught him before he collapsed to the ground and helped him to stay up. Ivy looked over all his injuries that she could see so far. She has a very concerned expression on her face. I don't know who that redhead is, but she's not too bad. No matter, I'm already satisfied. Are you sure, young Accelerator? I wasn't expecting someone with her reputation to rescue the boy. Out of brief curiosity, do you know who that redhead is? But they do seem to know each other very well, judging by how concerned she looks over his injuries. Her name is Poison Ivy. She's apparently a ex-villain that is well known and quite feared in Gotham. Villain or not, her interference doesn't matter to me whatsoever. I saw what I wanted to see. Midoriya clearly exceeded my expectations of him. I'm not disappointed, not one bit. Now that I saw what I needed to see, I can start getting the process of getting my plans into motion. This is going to be fun, as Accelerator has a vicious grin on his face. Well, see you around, Gary. I'll be laying low for a while. I still want to keep our involvement with each other a secret as long as possible. The Bats hasn't been digging into our business. It's only a matter of time before he actually has physical proof that we are working together. As Accelerator left at that note, he didn't literally left a note, it's just a figure of speech, so there's no confusion. Alright, let's continue. So we're relieved to see you, Pamela. I'm on fumes right now. Just rest. As Izuku finally passed out from exertion, she had vines wrap around Izuku and pick him up and put him in the middle of the flower that she came in. Ivy placed her hand on the ground to sense if any life forms are nearby. Through the green, she doesn't sense anything as she clenched her teeth, knowing that the people responsible are still out there. But ultimately, she had to make her way back home. As she walked into her flower, as the flower descends down after it shut its petals, and descend into the ground, reappearing back at their backyard, Ivy and Harley helped Izuku and moved him to his bed. They immediately began to bandage his wounds. Shouldn't we take him to the hospital? I know his injuries are not severe, but I'm still worried. He doesn't need a hospital. He's a fast healer. Remember what he told us? That his body self-consciously uses his psychic energy or telekinesis. I'm not too sure on that, but it clearly rapid heals him. Using his psychic energy. So, when do we go after them? We don't. What do you mean? We don't. We can't allow them to get away with this. Let it be, Harley. As much as I hate to admit it, it only will cause trouble for Izuku. And what do you think Izuku would do if we start causing trouble and the heroes eventually went after us? Who do you think he would choose? He would clearly back us up. He would choose us, of course. Precisely. And I highly doubt the Bats will allow you to do such a thing in the first place. I forgot about him. I totally forgot he was still in the country. Don't worry. They will not get away scot-free. Izuku will be sure of that. At least that's comforting, in a way. We just need to make sure we don't cause any trouble for him. He's already had a lot of things on his plate right now. We don't need to add to it. I know you're right. I'm just worried and angry that they freaking hurt him. just want to bash their skulls and lose my bat. Feel the same way, Harley. But the best thing we could do right now is to let him handle it. So frustrating. Fine. I have some paperwork to do. I'll be in the kitchen if you need me. Get me if something happens. Okay, Red? Will do, Harley. I'll stay by his side until he's regained consciousness again. When Harley left the room, Ivy called Black Canary to inform her that Izuku's back home. That's a relief, Ivy. Did you meet any members of the League of Villains? Wherever Izuku was being kept? All I found when I found Izuku was one of those Nomu creatures you fought at the USJ. It's at some sort of man-made forest in a glass dome. It was pretty far away from any cities. Very secluded. Just me the coordinates, and I'll send some heroes to that area to investigate. Tell Izuku when he gets up to take the next about 6 days off from school. Just tell him to focus on healing. I'll have one of his classmates send over his schoolwork. As Ivy and Canary talked for a few minutes before they disconnected their call. Izuku focused their attention on the sleeping Izuku. She made sure he was nice and comfortable in the bed. It only took Izuku 4 hours to regain consciousness. Majority of his injuries during the fight has already been healed and recovered. The only injury that hasn't fully healed is the one on his waist from getting nipped from that sword, from that blade hand he got from the Nomu as he shot up. Only for Ivy to place her hand gently onto his chest. Easy there. Everything's alright. You're back at the house. Izuku realized he's in his room as he laid back down. How long was I out? A little over 4 hours. I know you just regained consciousness, but I need to know what exactly happened. I was at the mall. Like I told you before I left school, I was going down there to get a few things. Like I told you, I was looking for face guards. Everything was going normal until some sort of gas started to leak into the mall. Naturally, I grabbed one of the face guards that had a breathing apparatus built into it. I had to take a guess. It was probably some sort of knockout gas. When I tried to leave the store, a portal appeared underneath me. I immediately began to levitate and fly. In the middle of my flight, another portal appeared right in front of me. I was moving too fast to stop in time. After I entered the portal, I found myself in some sort of forest. And from the glass, it was probably some sort of dome area. Then I was attacked by 3 Nomus at the same time. They seemed to be a lot more intelligent than the last one I fought. The 3 managed to work together quite well. I eventually killed one of them, then eventually took out a second one. Then you arrived at the scene and took care of the 3rd. It was way too obvious this was a target attack, and apparently I was the lucky target. The League of Villains specifically target me for some reason. I have a feeling this is just the beginning. This League of Villains is clearly up to something. To what end? I'm not sure. Outside of killing the #1 hero, All Might. Just promise me you'll be more careful moving forward. As much as I would like to tear down the city to find this League of Villains, it would cause too much trouble. And the last thing I want to do is cause you trouble. We have a good thing going on here, and I'll be damned if I endanger that in any way. You don't have to worry about that. I plan to move on very carefully. I promise you that. I'll be very cautious. Good. Shirt off, mister. So I could dress your wounds. I need to change some bandages. You're still in the middle of healing, after all. Izuku did as Ivy said. As Ivy changes his bandages, his one wound that's still healing is halfway healed. He should be at 100% by the morning. Your sensei called me to tell you not to return to UA for about 6 days. She wants to make sure you're fully recovered from today's attack and from winning the sports festival yesterday. That's probably a blessing in disguise. I need to be well rested before I go to the agency. You told me about that before you left, so what did you finally pick? Ryuku's agency. She's a well-known pro hero in Japan, one of the heavy hitters, like All Might and Miraka. Just be careful. The Bats is still investigating the hero killer stain attacks. It's only a matter of time before Batman catches the one responsible for all the heroes' deaths that's been going on around in Hosu City recently. I have no doubt about that, Pamela. We're talking about Batman after all. He's a very stubborn one. That's a clearly understatement of the world. You grabbed on Ivy's waist and pulled him down with him on the bed as he wrapped his arms around her waist. You're being very affectionate today. Being in your presence has always relaxes me. I had a stressful day. I also picked up my hero name today before I was teleported into a death match with 3 overpowering Nomus. Really? What did you pick? Nova. I see. Short, catchy, simple. I like it. I wanted something simple enough to remember. Don't want my hero name to be a mouthful. And that was the first thing that came to my mind at the time. As they both fell asleep on the bed during his little vacation, one of his classmates did show up to give him his schoolwork. Momo was the one who delivered Izuku's homework. He mostly finished his schoolwork pretty fast. It wasn't nothing major. As his little rest period has finally ended, as it's day of the agency, as he's packing up all his belongings that he needs for the internship. He'll be working with Ryuku for about a couple weeks, 3 at the most. The agency has a lounging area inside the building itself. You got everything you got everything you need? That I did. Ivy and Harley both kissed Izuku on the cheek and saw him off. Eventually, when he got to the agency, Izuku saw Miraka waiting outside for him. When he finally got there, You're here. Follow me. Ryuku is expecting you in her office. I'll lead you the way. But from then, you're on your own. After all, I'm still on the clock. I have a patrol coming up pretty soon. After introducing Izuku to the secretary in the lobby area of the agency, they walk through a long hallway, entering an elevator to the top floor. Boss's office is on the 5th floor. The 4th floor is for lodging and the kitchen area. For late nights, for the rest of the staff that works at the agency. You will be staying in one of the rooms while you're interning with Ryuku. Izuku finally approached the top floor and found himself in front of the door of Ryuku's office. Before I let you go, Ryuku is a bit strict, but I'm sure you'll be fine. As she slapped him on the back, as Miraka began to walk away laughing. Izuku opened the door of the office. Then he proceeds to walk in to see Ryuku waiting for him. Greetings, young Midoriya. I'm Pro Hero Ryuku. I'll be the hero you'll be interning with during your time here at the agency. It's a good thing you're punctual. Tardiness I don't tolerate. As long as you remember that and be on time, then we won't have a problem. Majority of the time here, I will be training you. Then I'll take you on patrols, either myself or Mirako. I believe you're already acquainted with her. I'll show you to the living area. Please follow me. I suggest you get settled. I suggest once you get settled in, to get as much sleep as possible. We're starting bright and early in the morning. Understood? I was brought up to speed. What happened to you when you were at the mall? I figured that wouldn't have been kept secret for long. You are correct. You find pro heroes to be quite the gossipers. Word spreads fast in the hero world. As they entered the elevator and went down to one level, Ryuku showed Izuku to his quarters. He'll be staying in during his time interning with her. I'll let you. Let me try it again. Leave you to your own devices. Training will be at 5 p.m. bright and early. I expect you to be ready when I come fetch you. The kitchen is on this level. Feel free to make anything you want. We keep the food reserve stock constantly. Good night, Midoriya. Good night, Lady Ryuku. Ryuku gave Izuku a warm smile and left to do her own business back in her office. She has a lot of things to set up for Izuku's training, bright and early tomorrow. Izuku did get his focusers fixed during his little break from school. He put the small metal black box next to the bed and kept his focusers. He opened the box and took the focusers off of his temples of his head and put it in the box and went to bed. Izuku can tell this pro hero is going to be quite strict just from the brief interaction he had with her. She seems to be very strict and disciplined. So he did indeed take her advice and turn in early to be on the safe side. I better adjust my sleeping schedule to my new environment. Things are going to be interesting. he texts Ivy and Harley before he went to bed. Immediately after that, he fell asleep pretty fast. We cut to the Accelerator, currently talking to the doctor, as the crazy doctor led Accelerator to the operation room. How long will this take? A few days, my lad. A few days. After I'm modifying your body, you'll be a force to be reckoned with. I'm quite surprised you're interested in getting your body modified in the first place. My future nemesis has been modified, so I'm guessing that's your handiwork. Guilty as charged. He might have been wearing a mask at the time, but I know my modifications anywhere. And that boy's been using my gift quite well. I'm most interested in seeing you two collide with each other. It would be quite a sight to see. Two modified humans battling out for supremacy. Fascinating. Let's get this done. As Accelerator laid down and deactivated his vectors and lay down on the metal slab, as Dr. Uchiko sedated him so he can begin to modify his body. That's where we're going to stop it. Hope you guys have a good night and day. Judge my time zones, and I'll catch you in the next video.